A stranger asked me to pretend to be his girlfriend. I didn't know he was being hunted. The morning started like every other one. Wake at 6 a.m., 7:15 a.m. bus, and 8 a.m. sharp opening of Vance and Vintage. I live alone, small apartment, quiet life. No family nearby. No one checking up on me. Just me and the constant pressure of not messing up. Because one mistake, and I will lose everything. I had just managed to get a job at a small firm downtown. Vance and Vintage. Nothing fancy, but it paid enough to survive. Barely. The morning sun has already risen. I was running late again. So I skipped breakfast, grabbed my bag, and rushed out. By the time I got to the bus stop, it was already crowded. Great. The bus finally came, and I squeezed in like everyone else. Hot, tight, no space to breathe. I found a seat by the window and sat down, trying to calm my thoughts. Just get to work, don't get fired today, I whispered to myself. I adjusted my headphones, letting a classical symphony drown out the squeak of the wipers. I felt the gaze before I saw him. It was a weighted stare, desperate and sharp, slicing through the usual morning haze of commuter apathy. He sat in the aisle seat opposite mine, and he was a disaster. His hair was matted with what looked like grease and dirt. His face was hidden beneath a week's worth of scruffy beard and grim, though his eyes, piercing and surprisingly clear, were locked onto mine. He wore a heavy, filthy coat that smelled vaguely of engine oil, and he was shivering, eyes constantly moving, like he was looking for something or someone. I shifted uncomfortably on my seat, my hand clenching the charcoal pencil. I looked pointedly at my sketchbook. Maybe he'll just go away, I thought. A heavy shadow passed the bus window. The man glanced toward the door, his jaw tightening so hard I heard the muscles snap. The next second, he stood up and slid into the empty seat right next to me. And then, he leaned closer. "I need your help," he whispered. His voice was raspy, but it carried an unexpected authority, a command that felt completely at odds with his appearance. My body stiffened immediately. "I need you to pretend you're my girlfriend." I turned to him slowly. "Excuse me?" I said, confused. His jaw tightened. "Please," he said again, quieter this time. He looked desperate, but also like a man unused to begging. "They're coming." "Just for 5 minutes," I frowned. Why would I do that? Before he could answer, the bus stopped. And then, they entered. 4 men. Big, rough. The kind you don't need to be told are dangerous. The entire bus went quiet. You could feel it, that shift in the air. The unkempt man next to me went still, not with fear, but with the lethal stillness of prey, knowing the exact moment the predator has located the scent. "They're looking for me," he hissed. "If they find me, it's not just my life that's over. Look at me. Would a cop help me right now? Please." I looked from him to the men. They were walking down the aisle now, checking everyone, terrifying a sweet old lady by looking in her shopping bag. These weren't muggers. They were professional violence. My brain screamed, "Routine, 8 a.m., danger." But my instinct, the one that always sided with the underdog, took over. And without thinking, I did something I didn't plan. "This is crazy," I muttered. "Don't say anything." I reached out and roughly grabbed his shoulder. His muscles were like iron beneath the filthy coat. "Put your head down," I snapped. "Now." Surprised by my tone, he obeyed, leaning his forehead onto my shoulder. The smell of him was overwhelming, but I focused. I wrapped my other arm around him, cradling his grease-stained head. I tilted my own head, pressing my cheek into his messy hair. I pulled a bottle of hand sanitizer from my purse, quickly rubbed it onto his hair near my face to mask the grim, then grabbed my worn scarf and draped it over his shoulders like a blanket. I stroked his matted hair and made a soft, soothing, cooing noise. The steps stopped right beside my seat. I felt the heavy gaze of the man in the leather jacket. I looked up, forcing a watery, stressed-out smile. "Can I help you?" The massive brute loomed. Leather Jacket stared down. "You know this man?" I sighed, a sound of pure exhaustion. "I do. He's my boyfriend. He got caught in a fire last week. It took most of his hair, his beard, and he's delirious." I lowered my voice to a concerned whisper. "The doctor said it would take months for the burns to heal. His mind is confused. I'm just taking him to the clinic for his checkup." "A clinic?" the scarred knuckles rasped. I lifted the hand holding my sanitizer. "Yes, I'm having to use sanitizer because the infection risk is so high. It's terrible." I nuzzled his head again, feeling the tremor of his breathing. The man next to me was completely silent, playing his part. Leather Jacket stared for another 10 seconds, trying to look past the dirt and the apparent burns. Finally, he nodded. "Right. Sorry to bother you." He gestured to his partners. They checked the rest of the bus and moved toward the back of the bus. They exited at the next stop, fading into the wet morning crowd like smoke. Just like that, the tension in the air broke. People started breathing again, talking again. I checked my watch. 7:45 a.m. The bus was near my stop. My heart was beating a frantic rhythm, and the metallic tang of fear was sharp on my tongue. I slowly pushed his head off my shoulder. "You're welcome," I said quietly, gathering my things. "Now, I'm getting off. I have work." I stood up, ready to leave. But then, he grabbed my wrist. Not tight, but enough to stop me. "Wait," he said. I turned back, annoyed now. I yanked my sleeve free. "Look, mister, whatever you did, I don't want to know. You got your 5 minutes. I am 20 minutes late for my shop already. If I don't open by 8:10, I lose a key contract, and then I can't pay my rent. I'm not getting fired for a stranger." And with that, I bolted to the front of the bus. The doors opened. I dashed out into the rain. But then, I saw it. Blood on my sleeve. To be continued. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to know what happened next, do well to subscribe, like, comment your thoughts, and click the notification bell so you'll be notified when the next episode drops. Until then, keep the stories alive.